Lovely. Recording in progress. So, all right, I'm going to share a screen. That. And Zoom. Been on Zoom all day. All right, where are you? Week 5. There we go. Okay. All right. So teaching from the skeleton. Okay. And then we'll get to the poses as well. We're doing a little bit more on lateral extension and flexion, just to show the depth of it and how you can find it in a lot of poses. That'll be in a minute, but we need to know where all of the different bones are. And I have here that we teach from the bones of the skeleton rather than from all of the muscles. Okay. Because if you start to think about it realistically, how many, muscles would you even have to say? And people are not necessarily familiar with them.
Right.
Right.
So when I was looking at this, like I'm going to say, when I'm teaching, I'm going to say knee, not patella. Correct?
Absolutely. So that's exactly right. So I loved this particular one because it has the technical name, but also the normal name that we use in, like, layman's language, how we actually just talk about the parts of the body. Hold on one second. I have to take care of something. I'll be right back.
No problem.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. So, all right, let's look at the skeleton. We typically, let's just start on oh, here's Haley. This is good timing. Hello.
Hey, Haley.
Can she hear us? I don't know. Can you hear us? Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
I made it.
You did. How are you?
I am good. I was rushing home and my mom called me. Now I'm home and now I'm looking at a skeleton, a beautiful
That's right.
skeleton. So
looking at the skeleton.
all good. How is everyone else?
Good, good.
Good. Good. Awesome. Are we on the pubic bone? Where are we?
No,
we just started.
We just started on the skeleton.
Awesome.
We were talking about Parigasana, the gate pose a little bit, and we can kind of review that for you when we get there. Some of the things that Bridget brought up about it, and I was telling her that Lindsay actually will be joining us. She let me know that so I don't think she's joining tonight. But we're just kind of coordinating. But she's going to train. So that's cool.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to virtually meet her.
I know, right? She's wonderful. Okay, so we were talking about how this particular diagram has both the technical scientific names for things, and then it also has the layman's terms for things, which is great. We use the layman's terms pretty much in teaching. Occasionally we will use a technical term, and there's some that we don't ever use. Okay, but we still need to know where they are and what they are. Okay. And so when we get to the skull, so we're going to start with the one that's facing us, the front of the body, and also why we teach from the skeleton and not from the muscles. And so in addition to the fact that there's many more muscles than there are bones, we would have to like name all of the muscles that were taking part in the movement and in the pose. And then you would have to expect that the people that were taking the class knew where all of those muscles were, which people don't in general. Okay. But the skeleton, most people have a good grasp on that. And then let's also discuss about how the skeleton is the same for everyone, give or take. Okay. Occasionally somebody has like cervical vertebrae, things like that. That's unusual though. That's an exception to the rule. Okay. Generally speaking, everyone's skeleton is identical, and the bones are only a certain size. So when we align, we look at the alignment from the bone structure as opposed to the muscular structure. So let's say somebody has extremely overdeveloped biceps. How are you going to align that person if you're looking at their biceps, you know? So you got one like girl over here, she got like the tiny biceps, right? But you got the muscle guy in the back, his biceps all the way up to here. And then you're supposed to line up your, you know, arms with your shoulders. If you're looking at this guy's muscles, it's like never going to happen.
Yeah.
Or let's say that, you know, people are different, right? Some people have really flat butts. Other people have really big bubble butts. Other people have like, you know, they tuck their butt under. Some people's bellies stick out. Other people's bellies are flat. Some people are big in the chest. Other people are not. So you have to use the skeleton or you're not going to be able to align anybody.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at a pregnant woman, you are not looking at the exterior body. You're looking at where does that part of her skeleton line up with that part of her skeleton with that part of her skeleton. Now, clearly, I understand that you cannot see through the individual, okay? But you can tell once you start identifying the skeletal structure where everything actually is. So you're looking at somebody who has a big arm like that, right? But you know that the bone is going to line up from the shoulder. So that's what you're looking for. Questions about that?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the common denominator.
Yeah.
It is. And one of the things that you have probably experienced when you have somebody who hasn't been trained well, they don't know how to align people because they are always looking at the exterior body. It's very confusing. Because everyone's exterior body is different and subject to change.
Yeah.
Right? People don't stay the same. You know, people age, gain weight, they lose weight, they have babies, you know, sometimes they have surgeries, which changes things.
Yeah,
Sometimes they work out and they bulk up.
You literally get shorter over time.
You will if you don't practice yoga. If you practice yoga, you will not.
Stretched out, so you're
going to be taller than all your friends when you're 95. The thing is, because the muscles hold the skeleton up. So if your musculature is strong around your spine, then you're going to stand tall. If not, you will shrink and shrink and shrink.
Yeah.
These are very, and everyone, okay, so and when we get into all of the issues with people's spines and things like that, I'll clarify a great deal, because everybody has, you know, degenerative disc disorder. Everyone has, that just means you're getting old. It
Right.
just means that you're starting to degenerate, and that happens to everyone. Some people, however, have a genetic disorder that coincides, like the difference between somebody having arthritis and someone having rheumatoid arthritis. One is something common that happens, right, from, you know, underuse and age and whatever, bad diet, all kinds of things and contributing factors. And then you have something that's actually a disease. It's a condition. Okay. And then I want to just quick clarify this for you before we move on is, you know, if somebody has a disorder, it means something is out of order. But if someone has a condition or a syndrome, that's something that is a feature in their existence. That is not something that is just out of order. The disorders can be remedied, but syndromes, you know, diseases, chronic diseases, no. Sometimes disease can be reversed or eliminated. But that's not really our department. Okay. All right, so back to the skeleton. We have our cranium, our skull. Okay, both of those terms are used. Typically we'll say skull or your head. Okay. And then we do say forehead. We do use the upper, and we'll refer to the lower jaw. We never say the atlas. We just say your neck. We never say axis. We do say clavicle, but typically we use collarbone. And we don't just say collarbone, we say collarbones. We do use the term manubrium, which I don't think is on here because it's part of your collarbones, but it's this little divot right here in between the collarbones right there, right? So the collarbone is here, and then you have this divot. And why this is significant is because there is a throat lock, a bandha, called Jalandhara bandha, where you put your chin into this space. And it's used very often in yoga. It is not used on people who have heart conditions or high blood pressure. But again, we'll get to all of those things for in general, that's used very often. And it's the very top of the breastbone. We do say breastbone. We rarely say sternum. And then we say ribs. And they put ribs. And then you have your upper arm, right? Your humerus. And then your radius, I love how they put that's on the thumb side of the lower arm. And then the ulna, which is on the pinky finger side. What's cute about it is they put finger side because the thumb is not a finger, thumb is a thumb. But I always say the pinky finger side or the little finger. And the radius and the ulna are very significant in yoga. They are the only two bones in the body that turn over each other. You may wonder why the humerus is the upper arm and the radius and the ulna are the lower arm. the more distal something is from you, the further away something is from the center of the body, the middle, your main skeleton in the middle, like your spine, then it's considered further away. So upper is more proximal than your lower arm, which is more distal. So just those terms are kind of important as far as us communicating. So where something is in proximity to your center line. So when your arm is above your head like this, somebody might think, no, this is the upper arm. It's up, right? This is always the upper arm. Do you understand how the bones turn over each other in the forearm? And why that's significant?
Is it because of the movement that that you can get from your elbow down, that turning?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like, if your lower legs could do this, can you imagine the stuff you could do? You imagine if your tibia and your fibula could turn over each other? Okay, it's just a, you know,
Yeah.
maybe in my next life or something, like on another planet in another universe, they have that ability. I don't know, but I just always like, oh, I wish I could do that, you know?
Mhm.
And but anyways, in this lifetime, no, that doesn't happen, but at least we have it in our forearms. So the example I'm going to give, I'm going to put my hand like this, right? And my shoulder is going to stay in this position, but I can turn my hand this way, this way, this way, and nothing changed in my shoulder or my upper arm. I can turn all of these different ways. So for example, you can stand on your hands this way, this way, this way.
Mhm.
And I mean, it just gives you this ability to do things like dancer's pose, where you reach back, you can turn your whole arm over, and those bones turn over each other. You're going to find out the possibility that you're tight in your forearms. And that was one of my tight spots. I bartended for many, many, many years. And so that was a constant, you know, action. I was always using my forearms. And so it didn't really dawn on me until I was trying to do certain things that I had to actually work. And it's a difficult area to get open. So sometimes that's a limitation that you might have. Don't be surprised if your forearms, you find out your forearms are tight.
I think mine are. That movement is really hard for me in dancer's pose.
Okay, so that's about that. All right, let's go to the pelvis. So you have your hip bones, right? And then you have your ischial tuberosities, which they don't have on here, but those are the two bones at the very bottom here. I'm gonna bring the cursor over there and there. Those are your sitting bones. And we refer to the sitting bones often in yoga. And because when you are not on your feet, these become the foundation. So when you're sitting, those two spots are the foundation of your pose. There's a lot of work to be done in that area as far as getting your positioning correct. We don't get into it too much with beginners, but in training, I will explain a lot of that to you. And so when you're sitting down, and you can even notice how you are right now sitting down, typically when you're sitting down, a lot of people are on the back of their sitting bones. If someone has a real deep sway in their back, right, then they will be towards the front of their sitting bones, right? You want to be on the center of your sitting bones, evenly on both sides. And that's why people are always freeing the flesh away from their sitting bones so that they can get in the center. It makes a very, very big difference in your practice. She's so cute. You can hear her panting.
She's so excited I'm home, and she just a little distracting.
Did you just get home from traveling, Haley?
I did, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Are you good?
I am good. I'm with my dog and my family, and I'm home learning about yoga. So this is the best I've been all day.
Oh, I'm glad. Good. I'm so glad you were able to actually make it and just chill, and it's just stressful.
And I'm so happy to be home. The whole COVID thing right now is crazy out there. So this is my little tower of serenity here. My little
Actually, it's like it's like a sanctuary. Just like
you just feel it like lift. It's like, I made it. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But I was doing some really good like deep breaths through the airport though, and it was like channeling. There's no such thing as security. Everything's gonna be okay. So
yeah.
but yeah, I'm super happy to be here. That
Good.
I'm always grateful that I can make it, and that I have the opportunity to do this virtually, because I definitely wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't virtual. So it's always good.
Me neither. I mean, it just couldn't happen, you know? So I'm so grateful. And I actually really like the format of being able to, this is one of the things that was like always lacking in the in-studio version. Like you'd have to pass out like paper, or get one of those like big boards, and half the time people are like just talking to another friend or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, can we just focus? So it's really nice because everybody's in the comfort of their home, or wherever you are if you're traveling, but it's like it's so concentrated. So although it was a surprise that we had to like convert over, I think it's a very good format, and I love that we still get to practice together.
I love practicing virtually. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I was hesitant to try it, and I love it. It's just so easy, so comfortable.
No, it's like, oh, class starts in 5 minutes. Let me go get on my mat.
Yeah.
So convenient, right? Okay, I gotta pull the chicken wings out of the oven. I'll be right back. This is multitasking. Absolutely.
I think Bridget, the one thing I miss about in person is I feel like I learn a lot from like watching people do things too. And like if I saw you do something and I like noticed like how you did it or aligned, I'd be like, oh, that's what I was missing. So I miss that.
And
also,
the teacher adjustments too. It's so nice when your teacher moves you.
yeah. So, and getting to meet you in person, which, maybe one day we can just hang out and do something. So, instruction. So,
yeah, I feel you guys. Like that's the part that is difficult, for sure. It's different. It's because it was also like something to look forward to. You would see people that you knew. I know like Victoria and Bridget used to like, you guys didn't even really talk, but it's like, oh, she's here again.
Yeah.
You're relying on each other. You have people you're comfortable around, and
yeah, she's got great energy in class. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So okay. But for now, we're here. We're doing this.
Yeah, and it's good.
And then, okay, as far as, so the pelvis, is the pelvic girdle or the hip girdle. And then of course you have a shoulder girdle. And if you look at it, right, you've got a ball and socket joint with the humerus, the upper arm bone. And then you have a ball and socket joint. We'll go over the joints by themselves also. Ball and socket joint at the hip. So your upper leg bones hang from the hip, and the upper arm bones hang from the shoulder girdle. Okay, and it's very similar. So just kind of note that parallel. We do use the pubic bone as a reference of draw the pubic bone towards the navel. That is a good instruction. Or press the pubic bone into the earth for something like cobra or any belly down back bend. You can ground through that bone. So what you're going to notice is the sitting bones and the pubic bone are used to help you ground. And then you have the coccyx or the tailbone, and drawing that forward or under is helping you to lengthen your low back. Okay. Then of course we have the upper leg. Now we do refer to the muscles in the legs. Everyone knows the muscles in the legs. And they know the muscles in the arms, and we will go over the muscles, and you'll probably be surprised at how few muscles we actually mention. But we do say, hit your thigh bones back. We say, engage the muscle in the upper legs to the bone. We do the same thing with the arms. So we do refer to the bones in the upper legs a lot. We do not refer to the bones in the lower legs very often. We call them the shins. And we will say, draw your outer shins in, press your inner shins out. Bring the shin bone forward. Press the shin bones back. Those are all instructions, but we call them your shin bones. We just call your ankles ankles. We don't refer to the bones, how many there are or anything like that. And we never call your, we never say phalanges or metatarsals. Kneecap, not patella.
I like the word phalanges.
Oh, me too. It's a good word.
So then whoever comes to your class most often will know, phalanges. So
you're free to, work your class the way you want to. And if you want to tell people to spread open their phalanges, I probably think that you're saying something not nice.
Gosh.
And so we typically just say fingers or hand bones. We do refer to the individual fingers for certain things, specifically when we're doing mudras, right hand positioning, but also when we are working from the hands and we want to position the hands because they do need to be aligned. So we'll say the thumb and the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, the pinky finger, refer to it as, common language. So now we're going to go to the back of the body, which is on the right. And you have all of the different places in the skull, like parietal, temporal. The occipital is really the only bone that you ever hear of in yoga. Okay, and it's because when you put your head on a block, you want it to catch you right at the back of your skull, right under your occipital bones. So that is used, and that term is used. your scapula are your shoulder blades. And your shoulder blades draw in, down and in, and that brings your upper middle back in. So whereas the tailbone drawing under or forward lengthens your low back, drawing the scapula down, the shoulder blades down and in starts to bring length and elongation into your upper middle back, because look where they are. Okay. And then you have your hip bones on the back. Ilium. We just say your hip bones. Rarely do we refer to your hip bones on the back, but we will say your hips should be even from front to back. And that's what it means. So see here, that when you draw the tailbone under, goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they become more even from front to back. There again are your better view of the ischial tuberosities. Okay, the sitting bones. And then your calcaneus, right? Your heel. And that's pretty much, it. We've already gone over the fingers. And then you have your sacrum right here. And we use that all the time.
Is that the one that you call the shield bone?
Yeah, I'll say this is the shield-shaped bone at the base of your spine. It's like 6 bones that are fused together naturally through evolution. Questions about the skeleton?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to hear the recording if you can send it to us. I'd like to hear everything you said again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good detail.
You too? Oh, okay. You also, you'll hear things like your front lower ribs should be higher than your back lower ribs. First of all, if you look, they are, okay, sort of naturally. But when we do yoga and we pull this part of the spine in and we make this part long, if the shoulder heads come forward, then you get this sort of lift in the back and hunching, and we don't want any hunching. So another way to think about it, because this is right at your waist, right? And so these always come in and down a little bit, and the frontal ones go up. They don't splay out or anything. They just are a little higher. So when you look at somebody standing in Tadasana, not the same thing as what we do with the hip bones, okay? We don't want the ribs even from front to back. We want these bones in the back down, lower than the lowest ones in the front. So when you're in something like active child's pose, which has a tendency to be a little hunchy, one of the instructions that I will give is come up onto your fingertips and drag your frontal ribs further forward so that your lowest front ribs are slightly higher than your back lowest ribs. I would give that in an advanced class. But when you're teaching and you notice that somebody can't do something or they're struggling, or usually it's because they're not positioned correctly. And you need to be able to see, like once you have this information, you're like, okay, I'm going to scan the body and see where is there something out of alignment. it's like a checklist. It's like, okay, you know, I see that the feet are even and that the big toes are touching evenly. The tops of the feet are down. No problem there. I see that the knees are wide enough, but not too wide, that the upper thighs have contact with the low ribs. And that's what we're talking about when we say the low ribs. You need these touching your inner upper thighs. Okay. And then you look, you know, you look at the spine, you look at the shoulders, are the shoulder blades down? What's going on in the neck? Is the neck long? And we'll go over this again as far as alignment. Be careful of those pants, sweetheart. Okay. They're very hot.
Yeah.
And then all of that. So as you start now looking at the skeleton, I hope that you're getting a better feel for where alignment is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good information.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's fun. I love when things apply to things. So like when you're in school and they're like, you have to take anatomy and physiology and you have to know all the bones and all of the fissures and all of the indentations and all of whatever. And you're just like, okay, why, you know? And I think if you were going to go on to medical school and become, you know, a bone doctor, you would need to know all of that. But when you can apply it to something right away, it's so enjoyable because it starts becoming so useful. It starts making sense in a different way than just, I know this. It serves a purpose. Very fun. All right, we're going to move on from that and move into more lateral extension and flexion. All right, so here we have, this is a lovely face. So I have to get a picture from the video and getting it in the spot that is like, you know, I should just ask like Wes to come take a still photo. Because
Are those pants from your collection? I love those pants.
they are from the collection. We are almost ready. We are almost ready to launch because I wanted to get all my social media stuff in order and everything organized so that it's like a really good thing. You like those?
I do. I really like those. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ocean.
Love it.
I love those. I will say this just on a clothing note, they are so comfortable. They are wonderful. Like I would not ever sell something that I didn't love.
I can't wait to try a pair. I'm so excited.
They are cozy. And everyone, you know, I had some samples with people, you know, that I asked to do pictures and things like that. And every one of them told me, they're like, these are my new favorite yoga pants. I love them. So I'm really, really happy about that. That makes me happy. I want people happy doing yoga.
Definitely.
I want people feeling good and having fun. You know, it got very serious. It got so serious with all of that, you know? So yeah. So here is Parigasana gate pose. And what I was saying was you can come up onto the heel of this extended leg if you need to. Because what happens when the foot is turned this way, you know, this rotation is not happening for everybody's ankles. Okay, people are tight in the ankles. And so a way that they can get into it is they can come up on the heel, but then you're not going to make it very far down. Okay. And yeah, you want to line up here, right? And you go up and over, and you think the extension is mostly coming from here, and there's a lot, but this is where the extension is coming from this side. And there is so much space. Okay, hold on. We're going back to the skeleton. All right. Look at the amount of space you have from here to here. I mean, are you kidding me right now? You know, and just might I add, look at these spots
Mhm.
in between all of your ribs. You have in there what are called intercostal muscles, right? They stretch. They're
Mhm.
so when you start, and by the way, people always think like their sides are from here to here. But you can, if you lift your arm up, you can, your side body, right, goes from here all the way to there.
Mhm.
And that is a lot of space.
Mhm.
So you start thinking about creating space in between every single one of these ribs. And then you start making space in here. And then that happens. Because that's where the space is coming from. So the adjustment that I make here, of course, you have to engage your legs, tuck your tail, draw the belly in. But the space is coming in between all those ribs, all through the armpits, you know?
Why is this pose called a gate? I'm not seeing a gate.
Okay, so you know the gate that they put to hold like cows that
Mhm.
are metal that have the line through them?
Uh-huh. That's what it's.
Yeah,
uh,
that's what it's supposed to resemble.
I see. Okay. I get it now. I'm thinking like my gate is more like a picket fence.
Yeah, you're like, what? I don't get it. Like, this doesn't look like a gate at all, but it's that kind of a gate.
I see. I see.
Mhm. There's a few things in yoga that are like that. You're like, I
That's
don't see. Really. And then interestingly, everyone always thinks that like camel is called camel because it's like shaped like a camel's hump.
Mhm.
But in actuality, it's about the way that camels get up, like and onto the sand or lower down. You know how they go on their lower legs?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, more so that
Yeah.
than the arc in the spine.
I feel
Right?
like some animal when I do camel. So
She's like, that's awesome. And then, well, we're not going to have time for any sutras, and that's fine. I'm glad we got actually through all of this. It's important. So, right. And I'm like, finding Tadasana in this pose is challenging. And it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The flexion in the spine is deep. Okay. This is a lot of space. There's a lot of opening in the vertebrae on this side.
Mhm.
Beginners can be on their heel to extended leg. All right. Then you have this one. Okay. And whenever you lift this leg up, you know, and this one's tilted over to this side, but whenever you lift the leg up, depending on what you're wearing, it sometimes will give the illusion that you've got like one hip higher than the other, even if you don't. So let me give you an example. When you do balancing stick, one foot is on the ground and the other leg is lifting behind you, and your butt bulks up on the side of the leg that's extending behind you. So sometimes if you're looking at that and not looking at the skeleton, you'll start thinking, no, this is not aligned. And people will overcompensate and start really dropping. They think they're supposed to have like flatness across kind of both butt cheeks. And like what I was talking about before, no, just even across the sacrum. You're
Mhm.
going to have bulk on one side because you're contracting that muscle to keep that leg up. And because the other leg is down, you know, that side of the low back is a little longer.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that just sort of is a good example. That's why I chose this pose also. And then as you're going out to the side, right? So you look at the hips, and they're pretty even in a lot of ways. I'm really working to extend this away, and then I'm taking this up and over. And you can go much further than that. I just took the picture there because I thought it was decent as far as alignment was concerned. And then I'm compacting here and I'm pressing the foot into the leg and the leg back into the foot. And that's what creates the stability so you can take it further over. coming up onto this pose is actually more challenging than going into it. And if you think about it, what you're doing is you start going over and you're using gravity. And then when you come back up, you're going against it. So you have to become stronger, and that applies to many poses. And we'll talk about that also. I mean, actually make a note to myself, right? I gotta focus on coming out of poses. Because first of all, people always hurt themselves coming out of poses because they give up. They're like, good, it's over. It's like, nope. The pose is the pose from the beginning to the end. Set up all the way in, all the way out until you're back in Tadasana. And coming out of the pose, a lot of the times requires more strength than getting into it. You should be using your strength evenly and equally the entire time. But if we're going to be realistic, people get into things, they're like, thank God. And then it's like, okay, now come out. And if you disengage once you get in there, okay, good example of that. Somebody will be in Kapotasana, dove, right? They go all the way back, they grab their feet, they put their head on their feet, they're like, ah. Then it's like, okay, come back up. They're like, I can't come back up. I sank. Now they got to lower all the way down into Virasana, Supta Virasana. They're in reclined hero's pose. And it's fine, okay? No big deal. You can get out. But you should be able to come back up. Just a little.
Yeah.
Extra.
I think particularly like the first time I ever do a pose too, I underestimate the strength. Like I'm so focused on getting there that and then realizing once I'm there, I'm like, oh, that was only halfway. How now I'm thinking, how do I get out?
Am I gonna get out of this thing? Exactly. You are not alone. You are not alone. It's like, oh my God. And you know, I bring this up, there's a lot of re-extension in this pose. You have to keep working this pose the entire time, to keep re-engaging, re-extending, going deeper. And both legs need to engage equally, even though they're doing completely different things. And you do not want to twist. First of all, it wouldn't really be injurious if you did. But the short side of the spine is just going to kind of get caught up. And it will misalign the pose. Okay, I'll get you water. Hold on. God, she hits the bowl. Like, give me my water.
Thirsty woman.
Drinking a lot of water, actually. So
She has really good nonverbal communication skills.
she does. Anyway, so all right. Okay, so I will see you guys on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, I will not be there on Saturday, but I will watch the recording later because I'll be on my way to the beach.
Oh, lovely. Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Then I will send you the recording. Bridget, you want this recording? Do you want this, Haley?
That would be dandy. Yeah, you gave a lot of details there.
Yeah, there's a lot of info in this particular one. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Namaste.
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 Bye, all.
Have a good trip, Haley.
Yeah.
Bye.